Hey, welcome to this quick walkthrough of my substance pattern for the Open Chain library. I decided to do a quick walkthrough because it makes things just so much easier to understand than just on a screenshot. First of all, I want to, in case you don't know, because it took me ages to figure this one out, because as you can see, the resolution here is quite kind of low, yeah. So you have to go to camera, edit selected, and on here on the right side it shows up use window resolution. Make it true, and then it's totally sufficient to use that kind of resolution, and instantly you get a much better view on what you're doing here. Yeah. Okay, like I said, the graph is super straightforward. It really didn't take me long. I knew I wanted something organic, so the most organic node I know in Substance Designer is Perlin Noise. I run this through a histogram select, adjusted some values here, as you can see. This is how I adjusted them. You can also review that in the file that I'm gonna supply you with. As you can see here, it makes the edges like super sharp. Then I did a slight blur on that edges, just a really, really tiny one. And this node, as you can see, is basically here is where the switch is kind of happening, okay? Because I repeated those steps, as you can see here, and did one version where I added the invert grayscale, as shown here, yeah, and I did one without adding the invert grayscale node. That's the only difference, but it makes for a different pattern. So yeah. Anyhow, let's go through the upper one that activates with the invert grayscale. I used a flat fill. Honestly, I have so much trouble to understand what exactly a flat fill node does. But here it really worked. I don't know, I really love how it worked, yeah? So I used it. I don't think I actually changed something from the default values. I think I didn't, or maybe I played around with the override safety here. From here to there, you can see is the connection, not from the upper one. And then I added a grayscale conversion. I honestly have to say, this was purely experimental. I just, I opened the field here, not here, oh my god, here, I think with the generators, and I just added whatever came to mind, okay? I just knew I wanted the grayscale conversion to later on add the color, because that's obviously not the color I wanted to use. Then the transformation 2D to shift it from, you can see here, it's on the side, and here it's upwards direction. Then I run an edge detect and made the edge roundness like very low value, edge width also not a very big one. And I figured that those points, I mean, you could always, make it so those points would vanish, but then I thought if you have like kind of a burnt velvet fabric or something like this, there is always some imperfection. So I was like, oh, maybe I leave them. Why not, right? Well, that's sad. The lower one, like I said, is without the invert grayscale. And here's the switch. So the switch is basically a blend file, uses copy, and whichever one is up is the one that's going to be displayed, as you can see. So here is the lower pattern, and here's the upper pattern, okay? This is just the graphics, let's say. But there's more to it. So what it needed was some fiber, right? I mean, I've seen this now in many tutorials. There's like basically 1,000 ways to make a basic fabric. But this one, I think, is the one that Pauline used in one of her videos. And I really like how it turns out. So this is actually not my doing. to be honest. Yeah, this is something I reviewed from another file and that I really liked a lot, so I used it as a base for the fabric. And you can see here it really has a nice texture, really gives a nice texture. As a matter of fact, you can download a lot of Substance fabrics in an open file format, open them and look at their structure. It really helps to get to know how to build a graph, right? It's like a lot of problems are very similar and you can review them in other people's files and figure stuff out from there. It's super helpful. Anyhow, so if you want to take a closer look, I suggest to also look at Pauline's Fabrics for Substance Designer and review. Just download open files format from Substance source and review them. Or there's also this platform, Substance Share, I think it's called, where people just upload their files and you can download them and review them. Not all of them, but some. And yeah, so I run the levels to make it, less bright, let's say, and combine those two in a blend file. As the pattern here is it's kind of big, I wanted it to be smaller. I ran it through a tile sampler, and then it's like 4 times repetition, as you can see here. It's 2 by 2. Then it splits into 2 segments. I like to do this normally when, also the embroidery fabric you might have seen on my Instagram. I like to split afterwards. There's also a new thing I'm working on where I add the colors in the beginning, because I'm using basically bitmap files to do the graphics, because it would take, sometimes it's just better to find alternative solutions, especially if they would take ages to make in Substance Designer. So you can model something, bake the height map out and add it here as a bitmap file, and then go from there. If it saves you time, it's much better than trying to be so stubborn and create everything in Substance Designer, I think, because time is something very valuable and you shouldn't waste it. Anyhow, so after the tile sample, I ran another levels, okay, and added this level to make the blend here of colors. And these are just uniform colors. You can, something I only recently found out, I told you in the little article, I told you that I'm super obsessed with Pantone colors. And there's actually, here how do you say? I exposed the notes. I cannot show you anymore, but I think I can show you here, yes. So it's actually, you can see here, within the Substance Designer environment, is already all kind of Pantone palettes within the system. So if you're really using Pantone, you can actually use them one-on-one in Substance Designer, which is so awesome. And I only found out about it literally 5 weeks ago or something, but it's great. Here I exposed the color values, which means that if you open my file in how is it called now? Substance 3D Sampler it's called now. You can easily change all of those color values. That's why I exposed them. So it's easier to access the colors, and also I exposed the opacity. The pattern switch obviously is exposed, so you can just switch from the one pattern to the other by using the slider. And yeah, I think that's everything I exposed. To see exposed parameters, you just have to double click on any empty space within the graph, just in case you don't know, because I didn't, and it took me a while to figure that out. Lastly, Yeah, okay. So the fabric is parted in two, right? It has this like shiny lame, and then kind of a matte transparent chiffon. And this is actually the chiffon. I used a really generic weave generator node and inputted the height value into transformation 2D, and as you can see, I just scaled it way down. Like it's almost not visible anymore. And then I ran another levels node. Levels is like the go-to node, right? Transformation 2D, levels, and some others is like they're lifesavers. They can change everything. Then I added some tiny scratches to add some imperfections. I think you've seen them in the high resolution images. It's like little things like this here. So it's just not, especially chiffon, it's like you touch it once and you rip a thread. There's no choice. So I just wanted to make it look a little bit more realistic by adding the scratches generator and blending it together with a screen. But then I scale the value of the opacity is like really low. It's 1.7. And then I blend it together here after the tile sampler with everything else. The last blend here actually goes to the normal directly, to the opacity, of course, with another levels. I will show you here how it looks in iRay. In iRay, you can see it's super trans, or not super trans, but it's transparent. You can tell. Also, if you need more light, it really helps to go to environment, edit, and now I'm a little bit baffled, I guess. Oh, it's because I'm in iRay now. Wait. Yeah, now it shows. So this also helps. Let's see if we can see more now. Sorry, my computer is like kind of slow. I think it's hard to tell here, to be honest, but you can see it quite well in the high-res renders I did in Blender. There it really shows. You can, if we wait a little bit longer, you can tell here it's transparent. And this is because I ran the levels here. It's not because, but it helps to make it more or less. Here you can tell. This is a good spot to analyze that. Okay, let's switch back before my computer dies. Down here, I tried something, I don't remember, to be honest, something about embellishment. I think I wanted to add this, but then I was like, nah, doesn't fit the concept anymore, so I let it be. Also from this blend goes the ambient occlusion, the height map, and as you can see here, if I sort this a little bit better, I am running another levels, quite extreme coming from that blend, and I'm using this as invert grayscale to add the roughness or to create the roughness map, and here to create the metallic map. And yeah, and that's basically it. Just for the sake of making this complete, if you want to export those maps that you created, you can see all the output maps. You just have to say export output as bitmaps, and then you can save them out, and you get the maps that I also showed in the article in some images. I hope this helps. Otherwise, this is really just, I'm also still getting started. It's a lot of trying out, failing, redoing it, taking a day, not looking at it, Next day you look at it again, and step by step you figure it out.